Recently, I sent a newsletter out to my subscribers and I asked you the top 5 things that you'd like to know. And the response was so overwhelming that I thought the best way to answer these questions was on a weekly broadcast on my YouTube channel. So now you're watching the very first of those installments and I'm going to start answering your questions. So with that in mind, let's get started. The first question that we received was how to build better calves. And there's always a lot of information out there how you should train calves maybe differently, but I think the core of that to remember is the calves are a muscle like any other. And we want to train them with the same basic principles that we train all of the body parts, which is 1 time per week, and we want to load them. And in the calves, we do more of a 6 to 8 repetition range. It's slightly higher than the recommended 4 to 6 for most muscle groups because the nature of a calf exercise, all of them are more isolation by nature and that you're really working just kind of through the ankle joint. So if you have as much weight that you can only handle 4 times, it's hard to really even do the move correctly. So therefore, we still want to load the calves. We train a slightly higher rep range in 6 to 8 reps. So again, my answer to that one in summary, train the calves 1 time per week like everything else, and we want to overload them with a heavy weight. Question 2 is about max OT cardio, how much to do. First of all, max OT cardio is how we want to approach our cardiovascular exercise, and it just basically means short duration and high intensity. Duration, we're talking about 16 minutes, and by high intensity we mean we really want to be out of that comfort zone. We want to be huffing and puffing throughout that entire 16 minutes because that's going to have a bigger elevating effect on our metabolism and keep it elevated longer after exercise than the customary 45-minute or 30-minute duration type cardio. Basically, if you're in more of a maximum muscle building phase where building muscles your top priority, I would say 2 to 3 sessions of max OT cardio per week is going to be great. Once you start sliding more into maximum fat loss, or fat loss is your goal, then you're going to look to do 5 times a week, 6, maybe even 7 times a week, depending upon where you're at in that. So it really depends on your goal. What's your primary emphasis? Primary emphasis building muscle, 2 to 3 times per week. Fat loss is your primary emphasis, then I'm going to say 5 times or more. Third question today was about just general motivation, how to stay motivated when you get to the gym. And I think there's a couple points I'd like to touch on. One, I think it's very important to connect to the vision of what you want to achieve. And you want to take some time before each workout to really visualize that physique that you want. And visualize being powerful and going through those exercises and those movements on that particular workout. So take a little time, get in the right frame of mind, visualize it, connect to the vision of what you want to achieve. And also understand that we're all faced with a series of decisions every day from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. And understand that how you choose when you make these decisions is either going to take you closer to achieving your goal or further away from achieving that. And by really owning that and realizing that, it should motivate you to make better decisions throughout the day that are going to impact you reaching that goal in a positive way. So connect to the vision of what you want to achieve and really, associate that when you're making these decisions every day as far as eating the right foods at the right time, getting your workout done and all that. And that should help you stay on track to achieving your goal. Number 4 is a pretty common one. It's about putting on muscle for women. And I think this is one of probably the most misunderstood areas. A lot of times how women are taught to train differently for some reason. And really, the key is for a woman to really change their body, just like a man, you have to have a strong muscle building component to the workout. And building muscle we know is not easy physiologically. It's very low on the physiological totem pole. And it's even harder for women for a variety of genetic and gender specific reasons. You have to do a lot of things right around the clock to really build appreciable amounts of muscle. So therefore, again, because women are already at a disadvantage, they have to be even really smarter in terms of how they're going to train. And honestly, the best success I've had with women is training the same way because it's still skeletal muscle. So we want to train with the basic max OT principles. We want low volume and we want heavy weights and low reps, as opposed to a lot of the high volume, high exhausting type workouts that women are, customarily taught. And with that in mind, I do plan on having some products in the future specifically devoted toward women's training and teaching the methods for that. But in short, train the same way for women to build muscle, heavy weights, basic max OT principles, compound movements, and low reps. And finally, was asked how often should I compete? How many shows should I do? And that really depends on what your goals are. Some people compete just because they enjoy competing, and if that's the case, then I guess, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but there's a lot more variance there of far as frequency. But if you have specific goals as a competitor like I did, of climbing the ranks and making your way up, state level, national level, and so forth, I think it's important to really choose your shows wisely and not compete too frequently. Because to really make significant changes to your physique, you need a good solid year. So I really wouldn't compete more than one time a year, or you could maybe do it twice if the shows happen to be in close proximity. Sometimes shows are within a couple weeks of each other, then obviously that would make sense. But you really need a full year to make significant changes to your body. And then I would break my year up in basically 2 6-month intervals of kind of like a maximum muscle building phase, and then the final 6 months prior to a show would be more of a pre-contest phase. So again, if your goal is to really climb the ranks and progress your body, I would not compete too frequently. I think once a year is really optimal. And that pretty much wraps up our questions for this week. But since this weekly broadcast is driven by your questions, I thought it would be a good idea to have you name the channel. So let's have a little contest, and I want you to submit your suggestions for the name of this YouTube channel. And then I'm going to pick a winner, and the winner will receive a copy of my Lost Logs ebook, as well as a copy of my online video, The Secrets Behind I Want to Look Like That Guy. You can submit your suggestions for the name to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or my email. Then I'm going to pick a winner on May 7th, and we will announce it on next week's broadcast. So thank you for tuning in, and I will talk to you guys next week. Now let's go out and execute.